Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you, live from the haunted basement, Death the Show. Live with Chuck Banks and Ghostbait. Brought to you all over the Midwest and around the world. Death the Show, Odyssey Radio Network. Grab some popcorn, folks, a cup of Joe, and cozy up as we get ready for Death the Show. The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are not necessarily the views of the host, the Odyssey Radio Network, nor Death the Show. Let's welcome Chuck Banks and Ghostbait. Death the Show, baby. Bring it on. Here we go. All right, everybody. Hey, we are live, and tonight you're in for a one-of-a-kind show. And I apologize over on the YouTube land. We're recording this via Spreaker on Odyssey Radio, folks. And if you don't know what that is, you're gonna have to want to check it out because it is freaking phenomenal. And tonight I have the one and only, guys. I have Ghostbait in the middle. All right, but there's nothing like the guy on the right-hand side, the Reverend Tim Shaw. And, I just I get all giddy and stuff, Tim, anytime that I get around you because it's your personality, man. You're just larger than life.
It's gas. I eat a lot of chili.
Yes. And
we'll throw that right out there. That was like, you just have to do it. That's all I got to say. A little more roughage. I know I got to get a little more roughage in me, but chili is like my major meal from probably November going through probably May here in Western New York.
Now, I have to ask this question. Have you ever been caught on an infrared camera after the gas hits?
No, but I do know that there's been quite a few people that have thought that we've raised demons. Definitely. Sulfur. Lots of sulfur in the air.
And I can't imagine what that sulfur would be like in the Hinsdale house.
Oh, listen. When I first went in the Hinsdale house in 2011, that was before Dan Kless bought it, and there was a bunch of people that were renting it, and then there was another owner that defaulted it. But in 2011, they were going to bulldoze it, and the windows were blown out, the door was kicked in. I mean, it was a wreck. The place was just a really a wreck. And the minute you walked in there, you got hit by the mold that was in the basement. It was bad. It was bad. I kept looking to see if there was a wild animal that had pooped on the floor or anything, but no. It was just that it was it was just the way it was back then. Now it's like you walk in there, and I compared to what it was in 2011, that place is like a palace. It's got heat, it's got electricity. It's great.
It's actually livable.
Oh, it's almost, I would say it's livable. He's got the heater in there, he's got a stove, he's got a refrigerator in there now, microwave. Sleep, you can listen, there's a set of box springs that's just springs, so you could throw like a couple garbage bags over the top of that. You'd be living high, man. You'd be living high.
You'll be living something. I don't know. That place definitely has some creepy vibes, and I'll throw Dan Kless some good mojo because he's an amazing guy. One of the best out there that you're ever going to meet. He's genuine, and he truly cares about putting the money back in this place, which is amazing.
Too many people use these places as siphons. And they don't really put a lot of money back into these places. Dan has put so much money back into it. And, I'm going to be honest with you. When when it was up for sale, I had thought about buying it. And then I thought to myself, what am I going to do with this place? The only thing that I could do, because I'm not an organizer. Dan is like, a financier and organizer. The guy is like incredible. Right. I couldn't. The only thing I could do with that place is stabilize it as best I could, and like board up the windows. That's all I could do with it. And when Dan bought it, I remember emailing him, going, Dan, if anybody's going to make a go of this house, it's going to be you. You're the only person I know, and that I sincerely felt that could put this place in its rightful position and take care of it, and be able to go and cultivate it and give it the honor that it's due. Because in Western New York, we're keen to go and bulldoze all of our urban legends and our mythology, our modern mythology. And that place, I mean, he saved it. And not only has he saved it, but he's put some improvements in it. And I know that his next phase, he was talking about building a bunkhouse, the property just adjacent to the other side of the parking lot, where you could have like a central hub where you could, if you didn't want to stay in, like with me, I don't care. I sleep in the house at night, it's like, leave me the hell alone. Let me wake up like when the sun is up, don't bother me otherwise. But if you don't want to stay in the house, you can be comfortable. You can sleep in a bunk or something, So, I mean, he's amazing. And plus on top of it, everything he does for everybody. He's one of those true people that sees the good in everybody. He really does. And he tries to improve things. And, you really have to double cross him really bad for him to not work with you, or, not to, really put his hand out to help you. And I know even with me, I mean, he's, I've been kicking around like since time immemorial, I got to tell you that he really, he's like always included me in different things and different events and whatever he's doing. And my greatest thanks to him is when we travel. I'm one of the world's worst travelers, and he and I will be sitting in an airport, and I'll be fiddling with my glasses so I can see like the board. Like a huge, like 8-9 foot board that I can't see it. And he'll go, okay, we got to go to this terminal. Okay, come on, let's go. And off we go, And he always, and he introduced me to PJ Chang's in the Detroit airport. And every time I pass through there, Detroit and I have a love affair, because I never get out of Detroit airport on time. So it's great, because I always have time to go to PJ Chang's and I get a chance to eat there, and then I go on to wherever I'm supposed to go.
I gotta throw this out there, Dan. If you're listening, or if you get a chance to listen to this later, especially when it goes live on Odyssey Radio, I want this promo, and I want to see the Reverend Tim Shaw on the tire swing singing "It's Like a Wrecking Ball,"
and I'll do it naked.
Yeah. Yes. But you have to blot out. Okay. You have to. You got to make it.
What do I got to do? I got to get a big piece of black cardboard and tape it to my genitals. Is that what I got
to do? Okay. So I told Ghostbait that this was going to be a really, really fast record, because anytime that Tim, I got to meet you when I went out to Hinsdale and did that event with Coyote Chris Sutton, and it's crazy. It's like Tim's known you your whole life, Brian. It's nuts.
Well, you know how it is. I'll be honest with you. I am like the most extroverted introvert that you'll ever meet. I really am, and a lot of us that have been in the field a long time, or especially in the mediumship gig. I mean, I've been doing it since back 1972 is when I first took my first classes, when I was a kid.
I was only 2 years old then, if that gives away into your age.
Yeah, thanks a lot. You whippersnapper. But I mean, a lot of us are like, when you meet somebody and you really feel that they're a genuinely nice person, I mean, you just open up and you always treat them like their family. And that's something that I learned over the years, and there's a lot of times that I'll be honest with you. There's some people that give me that major ick factor where I don't think I've been wrong too many times, especially when it comes to production companies and or network representatives. We won't talk about that tonight. But
look at me. Okay, no,
right.
no, but you can tell, and the other thing is, it's like, if you find someone who's genuine, you don't have to go and like get together every single weekend, hold hands, and sing Kumbaya. You can go years and not see that person, and yet when you see them, it's like you just saw them yesterday, and it's like patting each other on the back and giving hugs and getting stupid and hopping around and that sort of stuff. And that's just the way it is. I remember that. And, we weren't, Chuck, we weren't scheduled.
Yeah.
I wasn't scheduled to be up there. I was filming Calvin Von Crush, and we had been filming in Gettysburg, and I was doing camera work, and he wanted to come up. So I had texted Dan, and Dan said, yeah, bring him up. So we went up there. And I always remember it was funny because we pull in, into the driveway, and all of a sudden, all these people come flying out of the house. I thought, Tim! I thought they all knew Calvin. You know what I mean? I thought they all knew Cal. I didn't think everybody's going, oh my God. I'm like, holy crap. Wow. I'm just a dude with the camera here. I'm just pressing the button and holding it. That's all I'm doing.
Dude, I've, it's one of those crushes, right? It's when sometimes when a similar spirit interacts, and you're like, man, this is
true.
It's just a wonderful experience. Now,
I agree.
The worst thing that anybody could ever ask you is something about, hey man, do you see anything around me? Because doesn't that drive you nuts when people do that?
I usually say, listen, I would add probably some Metamucil to your diet. I'm going to be honest with you. Early on, and it's funny because I just spoke at a gathering not too long ago, and it was a spiritual witchcraft type thing going on, because I hang out with all sorts of eclectic people, and the one thing that people don't get is that you can say no. And early on, when I was really working the pulpit, like at the churches, spiritualist churches and all that, couldn't say no. And one time this woman calls me up at 2:00 in the friggin' morning, and her kids' eyes are turning black, and she had some people over, and they did some ritual, and it was 5:00 in the morning by the time it was all over. And and then her husband came home, and the husband goes to me, there's nothing. The kids are all right. There's nothing wrong. And I thought to myself, this is a person who just wants attention. This is a person that, you got to say no to this stuff. And I do. You have to. You really have to. And then, I was doing a lot of, the other thing is I was doing a lot of, I won't say negative work, but negative cleansing work and taking care of that. And I'd worked with some exorcists, and I'd worked with some people that were specialists in that type of thing. And I started getting sick. I turned like right around 49, 50 years old. I started getting sick, and I started having some problems. And it ended up, I had, trying to think now, probably 71 procedures. I had 9 bladder surgeries and 2 chemos. And I talked to Johnny Zaffis one day, because I had read, of course, Malachi Martin's Hostage to the Devil, which is the seminal title that you need to read before you get into the negative stuff. Before you start tipping, putting your toe in that big negative, nasty pool of black sludge, you really should read that. And he said to me, "Oh, Tim," he says, "it can really affect you physically." And that's what I was specialist. That's what I did, most of it. And that taught me how to say no, because I was down and out for about the whole procedure and everything. I still have to go for monitoring. The whole procedure ended up about probably 10, 11 years total. And I had to really cut back, and I couldn't do what I was doing. I was holding down, working for a highway department. I was doing concrete and asphalt work, and not feeling well. And I was, and they would, like, when I didn't feel good, they would, kind of hide me and, take care of me. But then to do this extra stuff, it just got too much. So I learned to say no, and now, and there's no shame in it. And you know what will happen will happen. It's preordained to me. It's predestined that if I don't do it, somebody else is going to do it. Or something's going to happen that it's going to stop, because I have yet to find a case that has come across my desk where the person was physically injured or died. Most of it is psychological. A lot of it is infestation. A lot of it was of their own making. You walk into the house and the place is like, excuse my French, but a shithole.
Yeah.
Where it's like clothes on the floor. Everything's all over the place. Dishes are piled, like 3 weeks in the sink. It smells like animal urine. I've done that. You walk in that house and there's piles of animal poop and feces all over the place. And, they're saying, well, I'm not feeling good and I'm starting to see things. Well, cat urine actually will produce.
Between the ammonia and the methane.
You got to, and their whole lifestyle and what they've been influenced by and stuff. So, a lot of times it was always the people's fault that did it, and I shouldn't say their fault, because a lot of times I'll say 9 out of 10 times it is a mental imbalance somewhere. It's something where they're not in balance or whatever, and they need to seek a professional help, and you have to be able to do that, but you've got to be able to say no sometimes. I'm going to teach a class this year. As a matter of fact, I'm introducing it. And I have had so much. I've been second guessing myself, guys. I'm not going to lie. I'm teaching a class on cleansing, and it's going to be like from simple cleansing to some hardcore stuff that I have to do. And these are things that I was taught to by hoodoo people and my friends within the Wiccan cultures and the Strega witchcraft cultures, and I'm going to bring this out and I want to do this so that people understand that you don't have to go and you don't have to rely on somebody like me to do this work. There's some simple things that you can do, and actually you can do it yourself. I always remember the late Ray Buckland, and I just found, I love that guy. He was a great guy, and he was a great influence on my life. And I just found 2 of 3 interviews that I did with him back in the old days, and put them up on my site. And he wrote a book called Solitary Seance, where you don't have to go and really, you don't have to bring in a medium. You can do this stuff yourself if you're careful. And this is, he had all different steps of everything from Ouija boards to pendulums to, all these different little tools of divination that you can use, and you don't have to rely on somebody. And that's why I'm teaching this. The other thing is there are some people out there that are doing a not so good job, and they're taking money from people, and they show up at the location once, and then they walk away, and I'll be honest with you, once is never, I very seldom does. If it's a hardcore case where you have to figure out what's powering it, it's going to take you a few times to get there and do it. So, and it doesn't always take, because the people psychologically have post-traumatic stress, and the minute that they can go and they think about something, this negativity can come back, because like attracts like, whatever. You could be dealing with somebody that has addiction problems, drug problems, and that sort of stuff. So you're going to bring in, if it is a spirit, as a energetic personality, of course, you can bring this stuff back in the house. So that's why I'm teaching this. I want to go and I want to use, because I use sound. I use singing bowls and clearing discs. I use tuning forks too. I don't use sage, because a friend, it's kind of like a iffy subject, because sometimes my Native American friends get a little upset because they call it cultural appropriation. And then my other Native American friends will say, well, so long as, guys like you do it with respect, we don't mind that. But, these people that, they call New Agers, these New Agers go around, they're just buying it and, and not respecting the traditions behind it. So I introduce different things because I have to always look at what the religion of the people, the spirituality of the people. If they're brought up Roman Catholic, I'm going to use frankincense. I want to go and I want to cognitively, poke the bear and get them to that place where they were young and they were a little safer, where they can remember, something like that. Or I do have a recipe that was passed down to me from some friends that it's incense that I'm actually making up right now, and different recipes. So I really want people to understand that they can do a lot of this themselves, but it's not always a one-shot deal, and really sometimes it's not always a spirit. It's not always a lot of times it's an organic or environmental. You have to walk through the house and make sure that EMF is crazy because EMF will cause anything from hallucinations to cancer. I mean, they've had studies from Poland that are just like crazy when you start reading them going, wow, and, I want people to understand that there's so much to cleansing. It's just not doing what, everybody does. So that again, I've been probably a year I've gone and just like second guessed myself. I don't know if I want to do this. It's like opening a door. Should people do this? And then I thought to myself, yeah, people need to do this. And all of a sudden when things started to roll and everything started to kind of come together, I knew that spirit was saying, listen, stupid, listen to me once in a while. What's wrong with you? But yeah, so I've had to go and say no, unfortunately, to some cases this year, and people don't say no. People don't understand that because everybody watches, TV and everybody's like, we're here to help you, and it's like, sometimes you have to take care of yourself before you help other people, so don't ever feel that you owe people anything, and when people come up to me, they want, I get that a lot. People want for you. What do you think? Is there anything around me? Yeah. Matter of fact, yeah, and, yeah, there's something there. I don't know, but then I'm not working. I'll see you later. I do that. That's the other thing is I'm not working. I'm not working. It's like, no, you're not, you don't. Listen, I give away more readings, free readings than I get paid for. But it's like people come up and they just, I think it's rude, but a lot they don't know. They don't realize it's rude. So I'm always kind of kind with them. But I'm like, see, the reason is if you go and you like give them an in-depth thing of what's going on around them, because I turn it on and off like with a breath. Yeah. Inevitably, that ends up being more questions. And you're there for an hour, and my wife is like, "Will you come on? What's wrong with you?" And so I'm careful with that, But like I say, a lot of times I try to make a joke out of it, just say, "Wow, you got to eat some more chili or something, man. There's some beans around you. That's what it is." I'm feeling. Listen. I'm feeling the beans. The beans are coming. I'm feeling it. I hit them on the head. Beans come out, And after that, they laugh so hard when they forget what they asked me.
or they're like, Chuck, I see that you eat a lot of cheeseburgers. Okay, yeah, it's yeah. I had to throw that out there because I think it's important for folks out there to understand that hey, there is a personal space when it comes to that stuff, and I went through that as well where I couldn't say no, whereas now, man, if I'm not feeling it, I say no, and I think that's extremely important. Now, I want to convene into this next section because you were a movie star. I saw your body double, buddy, here, a couple weeks back.
Oh man, I am now a Hispanic gang member, 50 pounds heavier, and I pooped myself when tables moved. Holy crap!
I saw that. The bulge, right? Never mind.
Well, let me tell you what happened was I knew what I was getting into. Because in the contract it states recreation, this whole thing. I knew it. I had looked at some of the shows before then, and I was like. And I thought, well, I know Kathy from, the house, and she's really I love her to death, and she's so sweet, and, she's just a genuinely good person, and there's stuff going on in the house. I won't lie, but I got to tell you, when first of all, I thought the guy who was going to portray me, my wife and I are sitting there, and we saw like the trailer, and it was like this hillbilly Jim character, and he's like, ah! I was like, oh my God, if that's him, I'm calling up that producer, and I am screaming at him. I got his home number. I am going to give, but he was the guy that portrayed me. He was okay, and you got to laugh at that stuff because going into it, I knew that they weren't going to do a good portrayal of me, but the producer did actually write me, and he said that the interviews that I did helped save the episode, and you know what? That's high praise. So they included a couple of, like I don't know, four snippets, 4 bites of interviews, and that's that was cool to me. That's good enough. You gotta. The only problem that I have is that it gives a false representation of actually what goes on there. Everything happened that went there, but it's not in that time sequence, and it's all jammed together, and it's kind of convoluted, but it all happened, and I was there for a lot of it early on, and that the experiences I've had there is great. But my buddies immediately, as soon as when they saw the table come up, and I'll tell you what, we were my friend Sean Curran, who was a spiritualist medium, the Janet that they interviewed, and I forget who else was there, and there was other people around us, and we had done a seance, and that table started rocking, it's banging around and moving, and it actually did come up for a couple seconds. All 4 legs were off the floor for just a couple seconds, and went boop, and it would hold on and down. That's how quick it was. It wasn't the and immediately after that part was shown, I started getting messages and texts. My phone blew up, and they were like, Tim, we've known you for 20 years. I have yet to ever see you look like you pooped yourself when anything went on. And then because again, this guy started like growling or whatever. He wasn't there when I had done the seance, so they must have taken a couple seances and rolled them all together. My good buddy who I go out and I steam a lot with this guy when I'm doing the paranormal stuff. He said to me, he goes, I've seen you in seance. He goes, I've seen you lead seance, and I've seen you like participate hardcore in seance. If somebody ever did that, you would have snapped out of that thing and just either started screaming at him, or you would have went over there and whacked him in the back of the head. He says, because I've seen you like just lay the hands on somebody where I'll just put my hands on the shoulder. And it's like, yeah, because it's like, first of all, it should be this, if you let yourself go like that, you got to watch yourself. You got to be in a controlled situation. You got to be in that controlled mindset. And, like with me, I was taught right from an early age, everything that you do, anything spiritual that you do, you're in control of it. You are in total control of it. Now I do I do trance. I'm still in control of it because I have trust on the other side and the people on the other side that help me. Excuse me. They have that control. I don't give my control over that easily. I'm not into that stuff. And to have somebody do that who, the way it's portrayed, and I don't know how it was, I don't know what happened because I never heard that story. That's wrong. And my buddies, they were just like, oh my God. And, and then all the pictures, all the screenshots started coming in going, he's a lot better than you. He's a lot better looking than you. You know that.
He doesn't even have as good a beard. Come on.
No, he doesn't. But everybody's going, maybe you should dye that thing. Maybe you should dye that thing down, But the one thing they did get right, it was funny because I do walk around with like a recorder, and if they, see, I like doing the mediumship gig, the psychic gig, and walking through and bird dogging in the house, finding like the energy spots, because then I'm like, I can leave and then I go home and I'm in bed by midnight. That's what's great. And everybody else is up to 5 a.m. So the guy's walking around, he's he's recording and saying, they got that right. And then they got something that everybody said I say. I say I don't say it, but they must be right. So at least 10 people told me. They go, I'm not afraid of you. It's like, yeah, I'm guilty as charged. I have said stuff like that. But my wife and I, we just about peed ourselves during that show. So it was either the people that, it's funny because the feedback I got, the people that know me, they were like appalled. But then, I made a joke out of it, so they weren't so bad. But the people that kind of like know me a little bit, they were like, wow, that's really, all that stuff happened? And it's like, well, you got to say, yeah, it all happened, just not in that way, It's just, it's Hollywood, baby. It's Hollywood,
Yeah, it's quite remarkable. I think I might have tagged you or sent you a message. Said, hey, it's a star. I don't know.
It's funny. I'm blessed because I've gotten on some pretty good shows.
Yeah.
And recently, in January, I actually wrapped season 3 for Portals to Hell. So I did one episode for season 2, and I actually did 2 episodes. The first episode, the very last episode that they filmed for season 3. And I like those because, they give you a chance to walk around and, you can pick that stuff up and see what's going on, That's fun to do. And after that, my part's done, So whatever anybody wants to do after that is fine, so long as they go and they let me, they portray me as doing what I'm supposed to do.
100%. Now, let's go to the Reverend Tim Shaw. When as far as table tipping, I have questions about that because I've tried it. And, it doesn't tip for me. I don't understand how it quite works.
You know what? You have to start off easy. I teach classes in table tipping. So, I've worked up to where we've been working on a rug. And we had a 6x4 heavy wooden table with, I think, 8 of us. No, 6. Yeah, 8 of us on the table, rectangular table. And we actually had the table bucking like this, coming off the ground. We'd be sitting there, and it was chest high, so it was coming up about 6 to 8 inches. And that's when you have a concentrated, dedicated group that is meeting on a regular basis. We call that closed seance because there's open seance and then closed seance. And but to begin with, you can't expect stuff like that. You gotta crawl before you can like run. And what I do is I teach people. We take card tables, and here's the secret. Get closer.
Okay,
guys.
I'm right here.
Get closer.
Yeah.
Here's the secret. Those little felt things that you put on your chairs and stuff. Scrape your.
Right.
You put them on the bottom. The reason for that is that first of all, you don't scuff the floor up, but when you're first starting out, you put your hands on the table. And you can, when the energy starts to build, you can feel yourself kind of moving. And, we have chakras, palm chakras, and, finger chakras. And actually you're producing like energetic energy or, it's mixing with spirit, whatever, goop, creating, ectoplasm or whatever. And what happens is it starts to move. And it's starting to move. And you have to be able to go and harness that. But you have to build up confidence. And that's what that is. So, like when I teach, like if I teach in a church or whatever, and we're all meeting for like regular sessions, I will start that off. And then I will take those off like the card tables. And then I will make them work a little bit harder to get it to work. Then we introduce heavier tables, like kitchen tables and that sort of thing to make them work even harder. And, you never go with a single spiel, whatever they call them, spindle with the 3 legs coming out because I can tip those with one finger. That's a carny trick. But you always try to get a four-legged table. It's a little bit harder to like fake it. And you'd be surprised within about 5 or 6 weeks, most students can, as a concentrated group can actually go and move these things. But you'll love this one, Chuck. Hinsdale House, right? So my buddy Joe Piari he owns Paranormal Oddities in Depew, New York, good friend of mine, calls me up and says, "Hey, Tim, I got an evening, got a Saturday up at Hinsdale. There's a cancellation. You want to come up with us?" I said, "Yeah, yeah, that's cool. We'll go up there." So we're doing our thing, and I'll be honest with you, it was kind of active night because I was asking like, "Hey, can you give me knocks?" And I've got it recorded where it's like, "Hey, give me knocks here, bang, bang," and and it's like, "Hey, you want me to go and sleep in Mary's room?" Because I hate Mary's room, and like an EVP that says no. I mean, it was active, and for me that was great. So we take a break, we go outside, and we come back in, and one of the girls that was with us says, "We should have a seance." And I'm like this. Oh, crap. I'm the only one that really knows how to do a seance, So I thought about it, and I said, let's try it. I've never really done, quote unquote, seance in the Hinsdale House. So you don't know how heavy that kitchen table is, right? That's a groin buster. So, we're sitting there, and we got our hands on the table, and I'm doing my thing, and I'm raising the energy, and back in, I can feel it going, and the floor is shaking. You can feel the floor vibrate. The actual floor is vibrating. All of a sudden, that table moved about 6-8 inches. And went, well, at that point, you could feel everybody's sphincter muscles go. Because they were not aware. They weren't ready for that at all. Yeah, and at that point, everybody kind of was shocked, And one of the girls actually kind of like slammed her hands on the table at one point, and she didn't realize she did it. It was like she remembered in her mind that she thought about doing it, but she didn't remember what she did. And at that point, it was like, okay, that's enough, guys, because you guys are paranormal investigators. You guys are not really, at that point where, you can go and start doing the old school hardcore stuff. You guys are meter people right at that. There's nothing wrong with meters because I love tech and meters and ITC.
I'm becoming more sensitive.
Oh, so like I can't call you a goof or anything.
He looks really sensitive. Hey, you know what? You know what? Tim, you keep talking because I'm going to put something on the airwaves. Just oh crap! I don't want to hit the wrong things here because I'm old and I don't do a very good job. But
tell me about it. Tell me about it. Every time I do something on the broadcaster, I'm like, what is this?
Okay. All right. So just this last weekend, Tim.
This past Saturday.
Yeah. I don't know whether he's being possessed or what here.
That's great. Here, here's the secret. I've slept I've fallen asleep in just about every location that I've ever investigated, guys. I won't lie. I was at Waverly Hills, and we're in one of the operating rooms. We're all sitting around the floor, and I fell asleep. And everybody left, and they stole my flashlight. Bastards.
They stole your flashlight?
They took my flashlight. Now I always have like 3 flashlights. I hate the dark, I hate stumbling around the dark. But, it's funny because I don't even think twice about it now. We were up at Hinsdale. One of the funniest stories was we had done an event, and I was going to go home. I'm about an hour and a half ride from there, and I was exhausted. Oh, dudes, I was so tired. I said, I'm going to stay there. And Jimmy Anito was there, and there was a woman, a couple other guys, and so there was a girl from Texas there. So I fell asleep in the living room, and I was on one of the duvets. I was on a couch, and I laying there, and all of a sudden at 5 o'clock in the morning, this REM pod that was sitting on the table just screamed like somebody just grabbed it, one of it's not a little ooh, it's like and I jump right. I get up and I'm sitting there, I'm sitting on the edge of the thing, and I'm out, and all of a sudden it stopped, and I went, "Listen, you SOB. It's only 5 o'clock in the morning. I've only had 2 hours of sleep. Let me sleep till at least 7. What is wrong with you?" And I went back to sleep, and everybody else is like, laying there with their eyes open, like waiting for like something to happen, and I started snoring, But it's like, I just do that stuff naturally because I'm so used to it by now.
They pick on me all the time. Sometimes I can fall asleep at the drop of a hat.
Oh yeah, I just get so exhausted. Well, on top of it, I mean, you're traveling these places,
Yep.
and there's a lot of energy going on, and you're working and you're concentrating on stuff, and it gets, and listen, I'll be 65 this year, and you know what? It's like, for me, it's past my bedtime now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, like 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm exhausted. My eyes are just like caked over, and I got Samsonite luggage underneath my eyes. I'm a mess. I just want to go to sleep for like 5 minutes. Give me 5 minutes. Boom, I'm done for the rest of the morning. Wake me in the morning when we're going to Denny's.
I saw a picture here recently of you, Tim. It's when you were a bouncer, and
oh my God!
I'm not going to lie, man. That picture is legit.
That was 1976. That was 1976. I had just finished a shift. It was at a place called Uncle Sam's Discotheque. It was a huge place. Huge. I mean, you get 1,200, 1,500 people in there on a good night. And I was a doorman there and a bouncer. And we'd finished a shift, and nobody had any money. We made, I think it was $65 a week. That was our take-home pay, was like $65 a week. No money. So we would go to parks in the morning, and we would cook like beans or whatever we could buy on sale, and we would grill them. And that was a picture of me at 6 o'clock in the morning, sitting there drinking. I think I had a cup of wine or something. I'm pounding away, going, yeah, I remember those days all too well, and I wonder why I'm as warped as I am.
Brian, I'm not going to lie. He looks like he used to be in those TV shows in the 70s. Those ones that would come on like Cinemax. I don't know.
That was my. I think I had a beard then.
Yeah,
Max After Dark.
And I did. Yeah, and I did have hair. Yeah, I did have hair then. It was. You could tell it was starting to thin back then. So
man,
that was the old days. And you know what? The place that I worked at, it was an old warehouse, and I mean, I had stopped doing mediumship and really anything for quite a few years. And when I was working there, I remember like at the end of the night, and it got real quiet, and you'd be, sitting there sometimes, coming down after like, the pulsating of the, of the beat and the lights flashing and all the energy of the people going, and you'd be sitting there having having a last beer because you just cleaned up the bar or whatever, and people would be mulling in other parts. And I remember looking out on the dance floor and seeing like 3 people that had died that, had used to go there while I was working there. And I always remember that. I remember seeing these people that, you could see them, and they were there, and it was like they were still there. And I always remember seeing that, like, it wasn't even like one of those things in your mind's eye. It was like objective right through your eyes, and you could see them, like just dancing out there to some, unhearing music. So at that point, I was just like, no, I don't want it. I'm done with this crap. I'm done. Sex, drugs, rock and roll. That's going to be the rest. Live hard, die young. You know what I mean? Leave a really beat up corpse. That was going to be me. Yes.
Disco. Okay.
So,
and I did have a polyester suit. Yes, I did.
So being a medium and a bouncer, did that help you pick out any of the people that are coming in there to raise hell?
No, because it was always just crazy. It was
too much interference.
It was probably like it was the combat zone from 1 a.m. to 1 a.m. to 3 p. 1 a.m. to 3 a.m. when they had to close the bar. So yeah, it was you couldn't tell because it was just like there was always every night
too much energy.
Too many people walking by you, too much stuff going on. You're watching everything. You got to have eyes in the back of your head. Mm-hmm. I don't know how many times I got hit in the back of the head with a 16-ounce bottle, beer bottle, or you know what I mean. You become a target. So I mean, yeah, that didn't help. But I will say that later on, clair ascension, that sense, did get me out of some kind of weird spots. I avoided accidents because of it. It just, like, you get that, something's bad, and then like the person that you're talking to that wants to go out and hang out, you're like, nah, I'm going to go, I'm going to go to sleep. And that person is either in a really bad accident that you would have been driving with, or I've been in a couple, back then, I wasn't, too afraid to shake it up a little bit. And I mean, the guy would get into a fight and there'd be stabbings and stuff, so yeah, it did help me, like on the small scale, but not in the big scale.
You're not going to believe it, but we're about 5 minutes away from the outro, which is just crazy. It just blows my mind anytime I get Tim on, and I'm gonna and I'm gonna have Tim on again. You retired here in the last few years now, but you've reopened something that I really love. It's called the Black Cat Lounge.
Yep.
You want to talk to or tell everybody a little bit about Black Cat Lounge and what you have coming, and then also when you're going to be a star again. And if you need a stunt double, or I said devil, double, I'll do it.
The devil is good too,
dude. I'll do it for you, okay, free of charge.
You got it. I'll be calling you, but you got to shave the head.
All right.
You got to wax that dome. The dome has got to be waxed.
I can just hear your wife now, Tim. No.
She wouldn't know the difference anyway. But Black Cat Lounge. Actually, we were on the air for like 12 years, and then I was on another show too at CBS called The Psychics Next Door at the same time. And when my mom started to get real sick, I had enough. It was just too much. I was doing too much stuff. I was working, and I was on the circuit, and doing the Paracons, and I had to stop. Well, when COVID hit, a couple of us got together and said, listen, let's go and just throw these shows out for free. Because a lot of people were hurting. You know what it was like when it first started out, and nobody knew what was going on. So I said, let's give people an hour a night not to have to go and think. I don't care if you're up there just, mouthing off or you have guests or whatever. So we started that, and it just took off. And right now I'm the only one left out of everybody that is still rolling. And Black Cat Lounge is where you can find it on my Facebook page. A lot of networks were trying to get a hold of me, but I just I don't want the stress, and it's still like I'm just having fun doing it. And it's heard Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Where else? On Facebook Live. And where is the Black Cat Lounge? Where is it situated? Where can you go and see it? Well, it is next to the dumpster transfer station, baby.
150%, and it is phenomenal. Now, 3 minutes, 3 minutes, 30 seconds. It is Death to Show. Tell us what happens when we die, Tim.
Okay, real quickly, I'll tell you how I've seen it in the vision. That was a thing that I was meditating on for a while, and Spirit showed me an oscilloscope. So that means that we are pure energy, and we have to go and we have to stop this whole thing about angels, because my religion never taught angels, demons. Everything was kind of like energy. They had these guides and stuff, but I believe that it's like energetic personalities, and the end result. Now, I do believe in reincarnation, but I do believe that the end result is that you become one with everything. You become energetically intermingled with the universe. It's almost sort of like like you become like that. You go back to the star child again. You go back to that you're part of everything, and it's when you lose the ego and you lose your personality, that's when that happens. So, I'm hoping that this is my last time around. I'm getting tired of this crap. You know what I mean? I'm hoping when I go, it's like poof, I'm done. But yeah, I'm not one of these people that believes that you're gonna go sit in the Summerland and bake for a while and then come back. And I don't believe in that stuff. I believe that we are all energy, and when we pass away, we become part of everything. And it is the memories and desires and intentions of others that keep us tethered to the earth and keep that communication going. And I do believe that outside of you're only wanting to be locked into a location, earthbound, that's the only reason why you will stay in that area and not go on. But if once everybody has stopped thinking about you, I really feel that you just go on. And if they do think about you, hey, like attracts like, all these little cosmic things the dust gets together, it comes down, you say hi, you leave again. Because who wants to go and hang out with us?
Hey, I'm here to tell you that I know a few people. Okay, I can count them on this. Okay, more than this hand. All right, so.
Wait a minute. There's 3 of us here. 1, 2, 3. Okay, there's 3 of us.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, hey. Careful. I'm a history teacher, not a mathematician. But no, it's been amazing having you on. I hope you stick around for a few minutes here when we end here. But
absolutely,
is there any shout outs you want to throw out there, partner?
Well, first of all, I want to do a shout out to my buddy Chuck Banks, who is not only effervescent, but he's iridescent. He's just handsome. And look at that guy next to him. Oh my God. I'm going to tell you what. You know what? Wait a minute. Hold on. He is so beautiful. I should be wearing my shades. That's how beautiful he is. You know what I mean? That's a shout out. But the shout out is my buddy Frank. He's a CEO, and he started up a podcast called Lock Up Paranormal. And my buddy Joe Piari, who is my great friend, and he's the guy. He's my go-to guy whenever I can't figure something out technically. And and I just want to say hi to everybody that's listening, because seriously, without the people who come and look at our store, look at our stuff and listen to us and prattle on like old washerwomen, we wouldn't be here. So all those people out there, everybody that listens, every viewer, everybody that we see at conferences, you're all important to us because of the fact without you guys, we wouldn't be here. And without you guys, I wouldn't get called back to like different shows and work with production companies and that sort of stuff. So you never know, so you guys are really great, all of you.
Love you, Tim. Love you, Depth of Show. Love you, Ghost Bait. We are out.